Commander Jiwan Park stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, watching the flames consume what used to be New Sol Colony. 3 million people had lived there yesterday. Now there was nothing but burning metal and shattered dreams floating in the black void of space. Her hands gripped the edge of her command console so hard her knuckles turned white. Another distress signal from Busan Station. Lieutenant Minho Choi reported from his tactical station. His voice remained steady, but Jiwon could see the anger in his eyes. The Velon fleet is moving to attack. They have 40 warships approaching. Station defenses won't last more than an hour. Jiwon closed her eyes for a moment. Busan Station held 60,000 civilians. Families, children, people who had done nothing wrong except exist in space the Velon Empire decided they wanted. This was the third attack in 2 weeks. The pattern was clear. The Velons were testing humanity, pushing to see how far they could go before Earth would fight back. Orders from Earth Command are coming through now, Communications Officer Yuna said. She looked at her screen and her face fell. Protocol Mercy remains in effect. We are to evacuate civilians only. Minimal defensive force authorized. No offensive action permitted. Minho slammed his fist on his console. They're killing us. How many more colonies have to burn before we're allowed to defend ourselves? Lieutenant, control yourself, Jiwon said quietly, though she felt the same rage burning in her chest. We follow orders. We've always followed orders. Dr. Yoonji Lee stepped forward from her station at the science bay. The xenobiologist had been studying the Velon Empire for 5 years, trying to understand their culture and find peaceful solutions. Commander, perhaps I should explain again why Earth Command insists on Protocol Mercy. Jiwon nodded. Her crew needed to understand, even if they didn't like it, even if she didn't like it. Yoonji activated the main view screen showing images from Earth's ancient history, wars, destruction, mushroom clouds rising over cities. 200 years ago, when humanity first reached the stars, we made a choice. We had nearly destroyed ourselves 7 times. Nuclear war, biological weapons, nano-plague. Each time we pulled back from the edge of extinction. We learned something that most species in the galaxy haven't learned yet. What's that? Minho asked bitterly. How to let others walk all over us. No, Yoonji said softly. We learned that showing your full strength too early makes you a target. Every species in the Galactic Council thinks they know what humanity is capable of. They think we're peaceful traders, decent engineers, good diplomats, but not warriors. Not anymore. They think our violent past is ancient history, that we've evolved beyond it. Haven't we? Yuna asked. Yoonji smiled sadly. We've evolved beyond choosing violence as our first option. That doesn't mean we've forgotten how to fight. It means we choose very carefully when to fight. Protocol Mercy exists because the galaxy needs to see us try every peaceful option first. When we finally act, no one can say we didn't give them every chance to stop. The ship shuddered as they entered maximum speed toward Busan Station. Jiwon pulled up the tactical display. 40 Velon warships against her 1 diplomatic vessel. Under normal circumstances, it would be suicide. But the Horizon wasn't a normal diplomatic vessel, even though the galaxy thought it was. Time to Busan Station? Jiwon asked. 40 minutes at current speed, Minho replied. The Velon fleet will arrive in 35 minutes. Commander, we can't evacuate 60,000 people in time. We don't have enough transport capacity. Jiwon knew he was right. They would save maybe 20,000 if they were lucky. The rest would die. And Earth Command still wouldn't authorize them to fight back. She had dedicated her entire career to following orders, to maintaining the peaceful image humanity had carefully built for 2 centuries. But how many deaths was that image worth? I'm receiving a transmission from the Velon flagship, Yuna announced. They're hailing us directly. Put it through. The view screen changed to show a reptilian face with cold, dark eyes. Velon Commander Threx looked at Jiwon with barely concealed contempt. Human vessel. You are ordered to leave this sector immediately. This territory belongs to the Velon Empire now. This is a civilian station, Jiwon replied calmly. These people are not soldiers. They're families. If you want this territory, we will negotiate through proper diplomatic channels. There's no need for more violence. Threx laughed, a harsh sound that made Jiwon's skin crawl. You humans are so weak. You talk and talk while your people die. We've destroyed 3 of your colonies and you've done nothing. You sent ships that ran away. You filed complaints with the Galactic Council that no one cares about. You are soft mammals pretending to be a spacefaring race. The strong take what they want. The weak beg for mercy. We're asking you to stand down, Jiwan said, keeping her voice level. Please, don't make this worse than it already is. Or what? Threx sneered. You'll write another strongly worded letter? We will take what we want and you will watch your people burn. Maybe then you'll understand how the galaxy really works. The transmission ended. Minho turned to Jiwan. Commander, we can take them. The Horizon has the firepower to destroy their entire fleet. We've been pretending to be a simple diplomatic ship for years, but you know what this vessel really is. Let me show them what happens when they threaten our people. Jiwan felt the weight of command crushing down on her shoulders. She thought about the 60,000 people on Busan Station. She thought about the 3 million who had already died. She thought about the orders from Earth Command that seemed insane in the face of such slaughter. But she also thought about the bigger picture. The pattern humanity had followed for 200 years. The careful planning. The waiting. There was a reason for Protocol Mercy, even if that reason demanded blood and sacrifice. No, she said finally. We evacuate as many as we can. We follow orders. The next hour was hell. The Horizon used every transport shuttle, every escape pod, every spare inch of cargo space. They saved 23,000 people from Busan Station. They watched helplessly as Velon warships tore the station apart, killing the 37,000 they couldn't save in time. Jiwan stood on her bridge, watching good people die, knowing she had the power to stop it but lacked the authorization. When it was over, when Busan Station was nothing but debris, she received a new transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Hyunwoo Kim appeared on her screen. His face was carved from stone, his eyes burning with cold fury. Commander Park, you are to return to Earth immediately. Bring every survivor. Protocol Mercy is being reviewed at the highest levels. Sir, how many more have to die before we respond? Jiwan asked. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. Earth is drafting a message to the Velan Empire. This is their final warning. I suggest you get our people home, Commander. Things are about to change. Jiwan guided the Horizon toward Earth, her cargo holds packed with refugees who had lost everything. Behind her, the Velan Empire celebrated another victory against the weak humans who wouldn't fight back. They had no idea what was coming. They thought they understood humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Ambassador Su-Young Han walked into the Galactic Council chamber with her head held high, even though she knew this would be a waste of time. The chamber was massive, a circular room with seats for representatives from 200 different species. Most of them barely noticed when she entered. Humans were considered minor players in galactic politics, peaceful traders, harmless neighbors, not worth much attention. She took her seat and waited for the council speaker to acknowledge her request to address the assembly. Speaker Vren, an avian species with brilliant blue feathers, finally looked her way after making her wait for 20 minutes. Ambassador Han, you have requested emergency session time. Please state your concern. Su-Young stood and activated her holographic display. Images of burning colonies appeared above the chamber floor. The Velan Empire has launched unprovoked attacks on human civilian settlements. They have destroyed 4 colonies. Over 100,000 civilians are dead. We request immediate council intervention to stop these illegal attacks. The chamber filled with the sounds of various species communicating, clicking, chirping, humming. Very few seemed concerned. A representative from the Manthar Collective, an insectoid species, spoke up. Ambassador Han, the council does not typically intervene in territorial disputes between minor powers. Have you attempted direct negotiation with the Velan Empire? We have sent 12 diplomatic envoys, Su-Young replied, fighting to keep her voice calm. The Velans have ignored all of them. They claim our colonies exist in space they want, therefore they have the right to take it by force. A Velan representative, a smaller reptilian than the military commanders, stood up. The human colonies were established in violation of proper territorial registration. The Velan Empire has every right to reclaim what belongs to us. Those colonies were registered with the Council 90 years ago. Su-Young shot back. Your empire made no claims to that space until last month. This isn't about territory. This is about testing humanity to see how much you can take before we respond. And how will you respond? The Velan representative asked with a mocking tone. With more complaints? More paperwork? Humans are weak. You prove it every day by refusing to defend yourselves properly. We defend our people, Su-Young said quietly. We simply prefer not to resort to violence as our first option. Because you cannot, the Velan said. You are a minor power with minor military strength. Accept your place in the Galactic Order. Speaker Vren tapped his gavel. The Council sympathizes with human losses, but we cannot dedicate resources to every conflict between species. If the Velons are violating registered territories, file the proper legal complaints and we will review them. This session is concluded. Soo-young felt rage burning in her chest, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. As the council members began to leave, she activated her communication device. Send in historian Jae-hyun's song. It's time they remembered who we used to be. 10 minutes later, an elderly human man entered the chamber. Jae-hyun had spent his entire life managing Earth's classified archives, the records of humanity's past that were carefully kept from most galactic knowledge. He carried a data tablet and looked uncomfortable under the gaze of the few council members who had bothered to stay. Speaker Vren looked annoyed. Ambassador, this session is over. Why have you brought another human here? Because the council needs to understand what happens next, Soo-young said. You assume you know what humanity is capable of. You're wrong. Historian Song, please educate them. Jae-hyun cleared his throat nervously. 200 years ago, when humanity first joined the Galactic Council, we made certain agreements. We would present ourselves as a peaceful species. We would focus on trade and diplomacy. We would downplay our military capabilities. In exchange, we were granted full member status without the usual probationary period. Yes, we remember, Speaker Vren said impatiently. Humanity had a violent past but claimed to have evolved beyond it. What is your point? The point is that we didn't evolve beyond our capacity for violence, Jae-hyun said quietly. We evolved beyond our desire for it. There's a significant difference. He activated his tablet and new images appeared in the holographic display. Before humanity achieved global unity, we nearly destroyed ourselves 7 separate times. Nuclear exchanges that killed millions, biological weapons that wiped out entire continents, nanoweapons that could disassemble matter at the molecular level. A council member from the Thren Collective leaned forward. These are ancient technologies, primitive weapons from your early space age. These weapons existed 800 years before we joined the council, Jae-hyun confirmed, which should tell you something important. We've had a very long time to improve on them. The chamber grew quieter. A few more council members stopped leaving and returned to their seats. Jae-hyun continued. Humanity spent 500 years learning a very hard lesson. Power without restraint leads to extinction. We nearly proved that lesson 7 times. So when we finally achieved unity and reached the stars, we made a choice. We would maintain our defensive capabilities, but we would never show our full strength unless absolutely necessary. We called this Protocol Mercy. A pleasant name for cowardice, the Velon representative sneered. Perhaps, Jae-hyun acknowledged. Or perhaps it's wisdom. You see, we studied every species in the galaxy before joining the council. We noticed a pattern. Species who demonstrate overwhelming military power early become targets. Other species form alliances against them. Arms races begin. Wars escalate. It's much safer to be underestimated. Are you claiming humanity has been hiding significant military strength for 2 centuries? Speaker Vren asked, his feathers ruffling with what might have been concern or disbelief. I'm not claiming anything, Jae-hyun said. I'm simply providing historical context. What Earth does next is not my decision to make. Soo-young stepped forward. The Galactic Council has refused to intervene in the Velon attacks. Therefore, Earth must handle this situation ourselves. I am authorized to make the following statement. In 72 hours, humanity will transition from Protocol Mercy to Protocol Reckoning. We strongly advise the Velon Empire to evacuate all military installations in disputed territories. We strongly advise all neutral parties to clear the conflict zone. The Velon representative laughed. Is this a joke? You're threatening us? You've already proven you won't fight. You evacuate your people and run away every time we attack. What will change in 72 hours? Everything, Soo-young said simply. She left the council chamber with Jae-hyun following behind her. As they walked through the corridors of the massive station that housed the Galactic Council, the old historian spoke quietly. Do you think they'll take the warning seriously? No, Soo-young admitted. The Velons think they understand humanity. They think our restraint proves weakness. They're about to learn the difference between can't fight and won't fight. Her communication device buzzed. A message from Earth. She read it and felt her blood run cold. The Velons just destroyed another colony. Incheon Station. 80,000 dead. They broadcast the attack on all frequencies as a show of dominance. Jaehyun closed his eyes. Then it's decided. After 200 years, the galaxy is about to see what humanity has been hiding. May the ancestors forgive us, Soo-young whispered. The ancestors would understand, Jaehyun replied. They learned these lessons in blood. We tried to spare the galaxy from learning the same way, but some species refuse to learn from others' mistakes. They need to make their own. Soo-young sent a coded transmission back to Earth. Warning delivered. Velan Empire has rejected all diplomatic solutions. Protocol reckoning is authorized. Repeat, protocol reckoning is authorized. Across human space, military commanders received the authorization codes that hadn't been used in 200 years. Admiral Hyunwoo Kim sat in his office on Earth, looking at weapons specifications and ship designs that officially didn't exist. He thought about all the people who had died because humanity chose restraint. He thought about the message they were about to send to the galaxy. He opened the vault of sleeping giants, where Earth's true military strength had waited patiently for 2 centuries, hoping this day would never come. Hoping that the galaxy would let humanity remain peaceful traders and friendly neighbors. That hope had died with 180,000 civilians who had committed no crime except being human in space. The Velan Empire wanted. The sleeping giants were waking up, and they were very, very angry. Captain Daehyun Yoon had been waiting for this moment his entire career, though he had hoped it would never come. He stood on the bridge of the EWS Retribution, Earth's first true warship to be revealed to the galaxy in 200 years. Around him, 11 more identical vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel, appearing in Velan space like ghosts materializing from nightmare. All systems online, his tactical officer reported. Weapons charged. Defense grids active. We are at full combat readiness. Daehyun looked at the main view screen showing the Velan homeworld in the distance. Beautiful blue and green, not so different from Earth. Billions of civilians down there who had no say in their government's decision to attack humanity. Tactical confirmed targeting. Military installations only. 0 civilian casualties. Confirmed, Captain. We have identified 247 military targets. Planetary defense grid, orbital weapons platforms, military shipyards, and command centers. All targeting solutions locked. The 72-hour warning had expired 3 minutes ago. Earth had given the Velan Empire every chance to stand down. They had responded by sending their entire fleet to attack human colonies, confident that the weak humans would continue to run and hide. They were about to learn how wrong they were. This is Captain Daehyun Yoon of the Earth warship Retribution. He broadcast on all Velan frequencies. You were given 72 hours to evacuate military installations. That time has expired. What happens next is a demonstration. We are still willing to negotiate peace. But first, you need to understand who you've been attacking. He nodded to his weapons officer. Execute Protocol Reckoning Phase 1. Show them what mercy really looks like. The Retribution was 5 times larger than any warship the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull was made from compressed carbon titanium alloys that were theoretically impossible to manufacture at such scale. Its power core used controlled singularity technology that the Galactic Council believed was purely theoretical. Its weapons could crack planets if humanity chose to use them that way, but humanity didn't choose that. Even in war, even after so many deaths, they chose precision over destruction. Beams of focused energy lanced out from the 12 dreadnoughts. In the span of 30 seconds, every military installation on the Velan homeworld went dark. Not destroyed, disabled, power systems shut down, weapons offline, but the buildings still stood. The Velan soldiers inside them were shaken but alive. Orbital platforms eliminated, tactical reported. Shipyards disabled. Command centers offline. All military capability neutralized. 0 civilian casualties detected. Daehyun allowed himself a small smile. Good. Now let's see how their fleet responds. Meanwhile, in a different sector of Velan space, Colonel Yuna Park led her Ghost Marines on a mission that seemed impossible. They had infiltrated the largest Velan military command station using transport technology that the galaxy thought humanity didn't possess. Personal teleportation. It required enormous energy and was incredibly dangerous, but humanity had perfected it decades ago. The Ghost Marines moved through the station like shadows. Their combat suits bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. Advanced sound dampening meant they made no noise. Chemical scrubbers meant they left no scent. They were phantoms, and the Velen security forces had no idea they were under attack until it was too late. Security Station 7 secured, one of her Marines reported through their neural link. Guards neutralized. Non-lethal methods confirmed. Una checked her tactical display. Her 50 Marines were spread throughout the massive station, each team executing their assignments with perfect precision. Team 3, status on command center. We're at the door, Colonel. Ready to breach on your signal. Una moved through a corridor, stepping over unconscious Velon guards. She felt no satisfaction in this. These were soldiers following orders just like she was. They didn't deserve to die, but they needed to understand that humanity could have killed every single one of them, if that had been the goal. All teams, breach and secure command center. Non-lethal force only unless you face immediate deadly threat. The doors to the command center exploded inward. Velen officers jumped up from their stations, reaching for weapons they wouldn't have time to use. Stun rounds filled the air, dropping them before they could fire a shot. In 15 seconds, the entire command center was secured. Una walked to the main computer core and inserted a data spike. Downloading complete military database. All command codes. Fleet positions. Defense protocols. Everything. A Velen officer, still conscious but unable to move from the stun effect, stared at her with wide eyes. You're human? But the suits, the technology. You thought we were weak, Una said quietly. You thought our peaceful nature meant we couldn't fight. You were wrong. We simply chose not to fight unless we had no other option. You took away our options. She finished the download and activated the station's communication array. Her message broadcast across all Velon military channels. This is Colonel Una Park of Earth's Ghost Marines. We have taken complete control of your central command station without killing a single soldier. We have downloaded your entire military database. We know where every ship is, every defense platform, every secret weapon. We are giving you 6 hours to withdraw all forces from human space. If you do not comply, we will destroy your military capacity to wage war. Not your civilians, not your planets. Just your ability to threaten others. This is your final warning. Emperor Thrask, supreme ruler of the Velen Empire, watched the reports coming in with growing fury. The human dreadnoughts had appeared from nowhere. His homeworld's defenses were offline. His command station was captured. And still no human casualties. They were making a point. They were showing him that they could have destroyed everything but chose not to. How many ships do we have available? He demanded. 10,000 warships, Emperor, his military advisor replied nervously. The largest fleet we've ever assembled. Surely the humans cannot stand against such numbers. Deploy them all, Thrask commanded. I want every human ship destroyed. Show them that the Velen Empire does not surrender to threats. The Velen fleet assembled in a sector near human space, 10,000 warships strong. They outnumbered the visible human forces by more than 800 to 1. Surely the Velen commanders thought this would be enough. The human dreadnoughts were impressive, but 12 ships couldn't defeat 10,000. Daehyun watched them come on his tactical display. Well, they've made their choice. Tactical, are we ready? Genesis engine charged and ready, Captain. All ships reporting optimal status. The Genesis engine was engineer Taejun Lim's masterpiece, a technology so advanced that even most humans didn't fully understand how it worked. It could manipulate localized gravitational fields, create temporary singularities, and do things to space-time that seemed like magic. The Velon fleet attacked with everything they had. Energy weapons, missiles, kinetic rounds. The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. It should have been enough to destroy the human ships 100 times over. Not a single shot reached its target. The Genesis engines created gravitational shields that bent space itself. Weapons fire curved away. Missiles detonated early, kinetic rounds stopped in mid-flight. The 12 human dreadnoughts sat in space like immovable objects, while 10,000 Velen ships exhausted their ammunition trying to scratch their paint. Think they've had enough time to try, Daehyun said calmly. Return fire. Disable only. Remember, we're still trying to minimize casualties. What happened next would be talked about in the galaxy for centuries. The human ships didn't fire traditional weapons. Instead, they used the Genesis engines to create localized gravitational anomalies throughout the Velon fleet. Ships were crushed by sudden intense gravity fields. Others were scattered by gravitational waves that tossed them around like toys. Most simply lost all power as the human ships remotely shut down their systems using technology the Velans didn't know existed. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, 10,000 Velan warships floated in space, disabled but intact. Their crews were alive but helpless, and the 12 human dreadnoughts hadn't sustained a single scratch. Daehyun broadcast one more message. This demonstration used 0.3% of our active military capability. We remain willing to negotiate peace, but if you continue to attack humanity, we will remove your ability to wage war. Not permanently, just until you learn to behave like civilized beings. The choice is yours. Throughout the galaxy, species watched the recordings of the battle. The impossible human technology, the overwhelming force used with such restraint, and they began to realize that humanity had been hiding something terrifying for 200 years, not their capacity for violence. That wasn't scary. Every species could be violent. What terrified the galaxy was that humanity had this much power and had chosen to pretend they didn't. That meant they were patient, strategic, willing to sacrifice their own people rather than reveal their strength too early. And now that strength was revealed, wielded with terrible precision against those who had mistaken patience for weakness. Fleet Admiral Sujin Huang sat in her office on the Lunar Command Station, watching diplomatic requests flood in from across the galaxy. In the 24 hours since humanity's demonstration of force, 14 different species had requested formal non-aggression pacts. Another 20 wanted trade agreements. The Galactic Council had sent 3 urgent requests for an emergency session. The galaxy was terrified, and they had every right to be. Her communication console chimed with an incoming transmission marked highest priority, not from the Council, from the Kryn Federation, the empire that had been the galaxy's dominant military power for 300 years. Admiral Sujin accepted the call, and Empress Serafel's face appeared on her screen. The Kryn were a beautiful species, vaguely humanoid with crystalline skin that refracted light in rainbow patterns. Serafel was considered one of the most brilliant military strategists in galactic history. She looked at Sujin with an expression that might have been respect or might have been fear. Admiral Huang, I will be direct. The Kryn Federation wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth at the highest level. We also wish to know the answer to a question that my entire military command is debating. Ask, Sujin replied simply. How much were you holding back in your demonstration against the Velans? Sujin considered her answer carefully. The truth would change everything. But lying now would be pointless. The galaxy had seen enough to know humanity was more powerful than they had pretended. We showed you our police force, Empress. Not our military. Serafel was quiet for a long moment. I see. And if the Kryn Federation were to hypothetically become hostile to Earth, then we would regret the loss of a potential ally, Sujin said. We have no desire for conflict with anyone. We simply want to protect our people and live in peace. With a military capacity greater than anything the galaxy has seen, Serafel observed, you could conquer us all if you wished. We could, Sujin admitted. We won't. Conquest requires permanent occupation. We learned that lesson in our own history. Empires built on force collapse eventually. We prefer cooperation to domination. Even after the Velans killed so many of your people? Even then, we're about to offer Emperor Thrask peace terms. If he accepts them, the Velan Empire can continue to exist. We just want them to stop attacking others. Serafel's crystalline features shifted in what might have been a smile. The galaxy expected you to destroy them completely. Some species are disappointed that you're showing mercy even now. Then those species don't understand humanity very well, Sujin replied. We'll talk more later, Empress. Right now I have to deal with an emperor who's about to make a very stupid decision. She closed the transmission and pulled up the latest intelligence reports. Emperor Thrask had not accepted Earth's peace offer. Instead, he was conscripting every adult Velan into military service. He was converting civilian factories to weapons production. He was preparing for total war, convinced that humanity's demonstration was the limit of their capability. Negotiator Donghyun Shin was humanity's most experienced diplomat. He had spent 40 years finding peaceful solutions to conflicts that seemed impossible to resolve. When Earth asked him to make one final offer to the Velan Empire, he accepted even though he knew it was probably futile. He arrived at a neutral station between Velon and human space, bringing only a small diplomatic escort. The terms he carried were generous. The Velan Empire could withdraw from all human territory. They would pay reparations for the colonies they destroyed, but the payments would be structured so they wouldn't cripple the Velan economy. In exchange, humanity would help rebuild damaged Velan infrastructure and establish a permanent peace treaty. All Emperor Thrask had to do was admit he was wrong and accept peace. Dongyun waited in the diplomatic chamber for 3 hours. Finally, Velan soldiers entered. They weren't there to negotiate. They arrested Dongyun and his entire escort. Thrask appeared on a view screen, his reptilian face twisted with rage. "You dare offer me terms?" the Emperor hissed. "You destroy my fleets and then expect me to bow to you? The Velan Empire has existed for 5,000 years. We will not surrender to mammals who hid in the shadows like cowards for 2 centuries. Your pride is going to destroy your empire," Dongyun said calmly. "We're offering you a way to save your people. Take it." "My people will die with honor rather than live under human dominance," Thrask declared. He made a gesture, and Dongyun watched in horror as Velan soldiers executed his diplomatic escort. 5 good people who had dedicated their lives to peace, murdered on camera. Thrask looked directly at Dongyun. "You will die next, human. But first you will watch as we broadcast this across the galaxy. Let everyone see what happens to those who threaten the Velan Empire." Dongyun closed his eyes, not in fear for himself but in sadness for what was about to happen. "You just crossed the one line that humanity considers unforgivable. We can forgive attacks on our military. We can forgive attacks on our colonies, terrible as they were. But murdering diplomats under a peace flag? That's a sacred violation. You've doomed your empire. Your empty threats mean nothing," Thrask sneered. He ordered the broadcast to begin, showing the execution of the diplomatic escort to the entire galaxy. It was meant to prove Velan's strength and human weakness. It had the opposite effect. Within hours, 6 species that had been considering supporting the Velan Empire withdrew their ambassadors. 3 of the Velan Empire's own colony worlds declared independence, and most importantly, Prince Kran, heir to the Velan throne, attempted a coup against his father. Kran had opposed the war from the beginning. He was younger than Thrask, raised in a generation that believed in cooperation rather than conquest. He gathered loyal military officers and tried to arrest his father, planning to accept Earth's peace terms and save his people from destruction. The coup failed. Thrask had been preparing for this possibility. Kran barely escaped with his life, fleeing to human space in a small ship and broadcasting a message to any who would listen. "I am Prince Kran of the Velan Empire, and I am requesting asylum from Earth. My father has gone mad with pride. He will sacrifice every Velan life rather than admit he was wrong. Please, I beg you, when you remove him from power, spare my people. They are not all like him." Admiral Sujin watched the prince's message and felt the weight of what came next settling on her shoulders. She contacted Earth's president, Hajun Bayek, who was meeting with the full planetary council. "Mr. President, the situation has escalated beyond our ability to resolve with limited force. I'm requesting authorization for Protocol Reckoning full deployment." President Hajun looked tired. He had spent his entire political career maintaining humanity's peaceful reputation. Now he was being asked to reveal the full extent of what humanity had built in secret for 2 centuries. "How many ships are we talking about, Admiral?" "Our complete fleet numbers over 100,000 warships. We have automated defense networks that can protect every human colony simultaneously. We have weapons platforms capable of planetary-scale destruction, though I pray we never use them in that capacity. We have technologies that will fundamentally change how the galaxy views physics and engineering." "And you're certain we need all of this to stop the Velans?" "No, sir," Sujin admitted. "We could stop the Velans with a fraction of this force, but the galaxy needs to see what we've really been hiding. They need to understand that humanity's choice to remain peaceful wasn't because we had no other option. It was because we had every option and chose peace anyway, until we couldn't anymore." Hajun was quiet for a moment. "The council is voting now. I suspect I know what they'll decide. Admiral, if we do this, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see humanity the same way again." "No, sir, they won't. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned that the most dangerous species aren't the ones who shoot first. They're the ones who have the power to destroy you but would rather not." The vote came back unanimous. Protocol Reckoning, full deployment, was authorized. Across human space, in hidden stations and secret facilities, Humanity's true military strength began to emerge. Ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers transformed into warships. Research stations revealed themselves as military fortresses. Technologies that officially didn't exist powered up for the first time in 200 years. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had been, building while everyone thought they were just peaceful traitors, and Emperor Thrask was about to pay the price for his arrogance. The first week of humanity's full deployment was the most shocking event in galactic history. Over 100,000 warships appeared throughout known space, each one broadcasting the same message in every language the galaxy knew. This is Earth's United Defense Fleet. We are here to protect human colonies and enforce the peace. We mean no harm to any species that respects sovereign territory and diplomatic law. President Hajun Bayek stood before the Galactic Council, no longer as a representative of a minor power, but as the leader of the most militarily advanced species the galaxy had ever encountered. The council chamber was silent, every representative staring at the holographic display showing Earth's revealed fleet. For 200 years, humanity has maintained protocol mercy. Hajun began, his voice calm and measured. We showed you what we wanted you to see. Peaceful traders, friendly neighbors, good diplomats. We allowed you to believe we were weak because we hoped the galaxy would let us remain peaceful. That hope died with the 180,000 civilians the Velan Empire murdered. Speaker Vren, who had dismissed humanity's warnings just days ago, now looked at Hajun with barely concealed fear. What are your intentions toward the Velan Empire? We intend to remove their ability to wage aggressive war, Hajun replied. Not to conquer them, not to destroy them, simply to protect others from their violence. Emperor Thrask had multiple chances to choose peace. He chose pride instead. Now we choose for him. The campaign against the Velan Empire was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. General Yaren Song commanded the occupation forces with strict rules of engagement. Military targets only. Zero tolerance for civilian casualties. Before each strike, human forces broadcast evacuation warnings, giving Velan civilians time to leave target zones. It was war fought with surgical precision. Orbital weapons platforms were disabled, not destroyed. Military shipyards were captured intact. Defense networks were shut down remotely using technology the Velans didn't know existed. Earth's forces moved through Velan space like a scalpel, cutting away military capacity while leaving civilian infrastructure untouched. The Velan military tried to resist. They fought with the fury of a proud species facing extinction. But they were fighting with technology that was centuries behind humanity's capabilities. It wasn't a battle. It was an education. 3 weeks after full deployment began, General Yaren's forces surrounded the Imperial Palace on the Velan homeworld. Emperor Thrask had retreated to his fortress, protected by his most loyal guards and equipped with the Empire's most powerful weapons. He sent one final message to his people. The Velan Empire has stood for 5,000 years. We will not surrender to these mammals. If we must fall, we will fall with honor. I have activated the planetary core destabilizer. In 1 hour, this world will die. If the Velan Empire cannot continue, then no one will have our homeworld. Prince Kran, who had been working with human forces to minimize Velan casualties, heard his father's message with horror. He's going to destroy our entire planet rather than accept defeat. Billions of Velans will die. You have to stop him. General Yaren was already moving. Ghost Marines, you have 30 minutes to breach the palace, disable the destabilizer, and neutralize the Emperor. Non-lethal methods preferred, but authorization for lethal force if necessary to prevent planetary destruction. Colonel Una Park led her Marines into the palace using personal teleportation technology. The Velan guards fought hard, protecting their Emperor with fanatical loyalty. For the first time in the campaign, human forces were forced to use lethal force. It brought Una no joy, but she had her orders. Save the planet, stop the destabilizer, capture or kill the Emperor. They found Thrask in the throne room standing before the destabilizer controls. The device was already active, drilling energy beams deep into the planet's core. In 40 minutes, the core would destabilize and the entire world would tear itself apart. You cannot stop it, Thrask hissed at the humans surrounding him. The Velan Empire dies with honor, taking our world with us rather than living under your dominance. We're not here to dominate you, Una said, raising her weapon. Stand away from the controls. Never! Thrask lunged for the activation panel, trying to accelerate the destabilization process. Una fired. The stun round hit Thrask in the chest, but his finger had already reached the panel. The destabilizer surged with power, its countdown accelerating from 40 minutes to 4. "Get him out of here," Yuna ordered, as her Marines dragged the unconscious Emperor away. She stared at the destabilizer controls, designed by Villan engineers who had never imagined anyone would try to disarm it. 4 minutes to understand an alien technology and shut it down before billions died. She activated her neural link to Earth's technical support. "I need an engineer who understands Villan technology. I need them now." Engineer Taejun Lim's voice came through her implant, calm despite the desperate situation. "I'm seeing your visual feed." The destabilizer uses cascading singularity induction. Shutting it down directly will cause immediate detonation. You need to reverse the cascade. In 4 minutes? That's impossible. 3 minutes and 40 seconds now, Taejun corrected. And nothing is impossible. Just very difficult. I'm uploading a control sequence to your suit's interface. Follow it exactly. Yuna's hands moved over the alien controls, following Taejun's instructions while her suit translated the Velan symbols. Behind her, she could hear her Marines evacuating the palace, getting as many Velan guards and servants out as possible in case she failed. 1 minute left. The planet was starting to shake. Somewhere far below, the core was beginning to tear itself apart. 30 seconds. Her fingers flew across the controls, executing the final sequence. 10 seconds. The destabilizer's hum reached a fever pitch. 5, 4, 3. The device went silent. The shaking stopped. Yuna let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Destabilizer neutralized. The planet is safe. Across the Velan homeworld, billions of civilians who had been moments from death began to realize what humanity had done. The humans could have let them die, could have let Thrask destroy his own world and blamed it on Velan madness. Instead, they had risked their own soldiers to save Velan lives. Prince Kran, now King Kran after his father's capture, addressed his people from a human warship. "The war is over. Emperor Thrask chose pride over the lives of his people. He chose destruction over peace. Humanity stopped him. They saved us when they could have let us die. I am formally surrendering the Velan Empire to Earth and requesting peace terms." President Hajun's peace terms shocked the galaxy once again. The Velan Empire would disarm to defensive-only forces. War crime tribunals would be held for those who ordered attacks on civilian targets. But King Kran was granted amnesty. Earth would help rebuild Velan infrastructure damaged in the war. In exchange, the Velans would adopt representative government and guarantee rights to all citizens. No conquest. No permanent occupation. No revenge. The Galactic Council convened to address the new reality. Some species feared humanity would become galactic conquerors. Others requested Earth's protection against aggressive neighbors. The political landscape of the galaxy had shifted completely in less than a month. Hajun addressed the council in person for the final time. Humanity did not want this. We did not want to reveal our strength. We did not want to fight. But the Velan Empire gave us no choice. They mistook our patience for weakness. They learned a hard lesson that we learned in our own blood thousands of years ago. Power without restraint leads to extinction. He activated a holographic display showing images from Earth's violent history. Nuclear war. Biological weapons. Cities burning. We nearly destroyed ourselves 7 times before we learned to channel our capacity for violence into building, instead of destroying. We joined the Galactic Council, hoping we could help other species avoid making the same mistakes. We hid our military strength because we believed showing it would make the galaxy less safe, not more. But now everyone knows what you're capable of, Speaker Vren said quietly. How can we trust that Earth won't use this power to conquer? Because we could have already done it, Hajun replied. We've had this capability for 200 years. We could have conquered the galaxy at any time. We chose not to. Even now, after everything the Velans did, we chose to save them rather than destroy them. That should tell you everything you need to know about humanity's intentions. He brought up a document on the holographic display. Earth proposes a new galactic charter. Collective defense. Enforced peace. Guaranteed sovereignty for all species. Any species that violates another's territory or attacks civilians will face intervention from a coalition of willing defenders, led by Earth. We will not rule the galaxy. We will protect it. Whether you like it or not. The vote took 3 days of debate. In the end, the new galactic charter was adopted by 173 species. 27 rejected it, preferring to remain neutral. None opposed it openly. They had seen what happened to those who attacked humanity. General Yaren spent the next year overseeing peacekeeping operations throughout former conflict zones. Her forces were trained as much in cultural sensitivity and reconstruction as in combat. They helped rebuild worlds damaged by war. They mediated disputes before they could escalate to violence.